Slammy, Ago, Slammy, Ago, Slammy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, episode 618 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is July 21st, 2024. And the Padres, they've taken 2 out of 3 from the Cleveland Guardians, who I believe are the best team in the American League. They have the best team record at home this season. It's been one of the best records at home in terms of winning percentage in a long time. So this was a pretty impressive series win. Obviously, the first game of this series did not start out great. Padres end up getting blown out. Waldron didn't get the run support, but then these last couple of games got more run support, definitely in game 2 with Dylan Cease on the mound. And then today had some big hits, some big situations, and then obviously Michael King was a big story from today, the big story from today. So any questions, comments, feel free to put that in the chat. I can put the link if anyone wants to join the show. Just let me know. I'll put it down there. I just don't want to pin it up at the top of the chat again because of some people that like to come on here and try to troll. But yeah, today, I mean, Padres get this win. I'll work our way back. So today and then Saturday, then Friday, Padres win today 2-1. Higgy continues to be one of the better stories of the season in this Padres season. Obviously acquired in that Juan Soto deal. No one was talking about him, and rightfully so, right? Juan Soto was traded, and the Padres, the guys that they got back, it was Drew Thorpe, the top pitching prospect. It was Michael King. It was, okay, what was Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez? What were they going to be able to give to the Padres? Higgy was looked at as the backup catcher. He'll be here for a year. And Campy, because I think we had the thought of Campy, okay, he's going to take this next step forward. He's going to be catching every day. And when he was playing to start the year, wasn't living up to it, or he wasn't taking those next steps offensively. Then he gets hurt. Higgy gets the consistent playing time. He ends up turning into Pudge Rodriguez, Johnny Bench, and he has deserved the majority of the playing time now. Now, one of the encouraging signs from this weekend, was Luis Campusano. He has made some adjustments with his hands where they're at there. And he was able to come through yesterday. So that was encouraging. But I still think that Higgy deserves most of the playing time. But yeah, he comes through today, brings in a couple of runs there in the top of the second. Doesn't try to do too much, just reacting to where that pitch was. Pretty quick bat speed, gets it through the zone. Merrill scores, Kim scores, made it 2-0. And, the Padres getting this win, it's big, obviously, because it's a win. I mean, you're going to take every win, but they were able to still find a way to win with not capitalizing on opportunities with runners in scoring position. I mean, there were a couple of opportunities where guys in scoring position, Crony grounds into a double play. Or I think, was it Manny that struck out to end an inning in a big situation, or at least a situation where runners could have been driven in there. They had opportunities and just couldn't come through there. And I was hoping that it wouldn't bite the Padres back in the butt later in the game. And it didn't, because Estrada was able to get through it. Well, some of that 8th inning. Then Suarez comes in, gets the 4-out save. And yeah, and Michael King obviously was a big reason why the Padres were able to win this game. There was no bridge between King and the high leverage relievers. It was King and then boom, Estrada and Suarez. There was no need for any Steven Kolek, Enel De Los Santos, anyone like that. King goes 7 innings, Estrada 2/3 of an inning, Suarez 4 outs, struck out a guy. His ERA is down to 1.62. Estrada's ERA, by the way, is still sub-3, 2.70. And Michael King had a no-hitter going into that 7th inning. And then there's that one run that scores. Naylor on the ground out, made it 2-1. And, to be honest, I was so locked in, because what I care about the most, I don't care about what the pitching performance looks like in terms of how many hits does he allow? How many walks does he? How many strikeouts? Like that's cool to talk about, but what I care about the most is how many innings is he providing to this Padres team? How many runs is he allowing? Like how efficient is he? And he was being very efficient. So that was what I was focused on. To be honest, I didn't realize that he hadn't allowed a hit until I think someone on social media, because I posted about how efficient King was being through like 5, 6 innings, and someone replied, he's being efficient in another way as well. And then I'm like, oh yeah, no hits. Maybe it's just because again, like I'm so dialed into okay, how many? Because I'm a bottom line, like I'm trying to win. I care about winning, and are you getting the job done? Like it doesn't have to be, the prettiest performance. Are you getting the job done? And what I cared about was the efficiency of Michael King. How many runs was he allowing? And he was not allowing any runs. And so that's what I cared about. That's what I was focused on. And then I saw like, yep, there was a no hitter going on. And then obviously, yeah, I was paying attention to that. Um, and he gives up that single. He was giving Merrill some crap, probably just joking around, like, man, you couldn't get to that ball. But yeah, it was a fun performance to watch for sure. He had his breaking pitches working, the fastball, and let's talk about for a second Michael King and this innings limit that gets thrown around, right? Because and I shouldn't say thrown around because there are credible writers like Kevin Acee, beat writers that cover the team that have talked about a potential innings limit. And Ruben Niebla, I believe Kevin has talked about how Ruben Niebla, his initial thought was like 150 innings maybe for Michael King, but Michael King's more like 180. And for all that, the writing, the reporting about that, the topic of conversation, I don't really want to focus on oh, well, what if there's an innings limit coming for Michael King? Maybe it's just me, but I'm focused on how is he looking? How does he feel? And it seems like he feels really good right now. He looks good right now. And so for me, that's what matters. I'm not even looking at how many innings he has thrown this year. I can pull it up, but I'm looking at more the results. How many innings is he going? Is he fatigued? How is he feeling? How does Ruben Niebla think that he is looking? He's gone 118 innings, and it's July 21st. So this is sort of like a Seth Lugo thing where you set probably a little bit lower expectations. I don't know if it's because you want to protect that guy or you just don't want to be disappointed. I don't know, but I'm not even thinking about the innings limit. I'm not even saying I don't even want to say like there's an innings limit on Michael King because it doesn't feel like there is, and I don't think that there should be. I think the limit on Michael King is when he's clearly fatigued, when he's not feeling right. That's where you can set the limit. But if he's feeling good, especially the state of the rotation, if he is feeling good, then you keep putting him out there. I don't care if he gets to 170, 180 innings this year. If he's feeling good, then that's good. You know, he got traded to the Padres in the middle of the offseason. So he knew right there. Actually, he knew before because he was going to start with the Yankees anyway. He knew the entire offseason that he was preparing to be a starting pitcher. So as long as he prepared, and that's what it seems like he did during the offseason, to be a starter and not have to be in the bullpen every day and be ready every day, he's prepared to be a starter going in, then let him pitch like any other starting pitcher. And I'm sure that the medical team, trainers, doctors, like they're all checking and there's all these advanced numbers on how King is feeling and the body movement. I don't know if he's gone to probably that's more like a before the season thing, but that pitching lab that they have, I'm sure that there's a lot of things tracking Michael King. I just don't really want to hear about the potential innings limit when we're seeing Michael King pitch like this. I just feel like that's something that has been brought up. And it's one thing, I understand it being brought up, beginning of the season, spring training, because you're setting things up for the season, what might come. But we're right here in this situation right now. And Michael King is pitching just like Waldron and Cease in terms of giving the Padres innings, not allowing very many runs. The velocity's there, the stuff's there. I'm not a pitching coach, but it sure seems like it's there. So I'm happy for Michael King. This guy, and remember Seth Lugo had this pretty much same mindset, right? Going into last year, where he's like, I want to prove I can be a starting pitcher. I feel good. Let me go pitch. I'm a starting pitcher now. You don't have to baby me. There's these innings that are being thrown out there at the beginning of the year. Screw that. I'm going to go give as many innings as I can. I feel like I can go way beyond that. And Michael King is going to go beyond that, is what it seems like this season. So it's been awesome. And he's under multiple years of control. So that's another thing where, Soto, obviously, the amount of money that he was making, he wasn't going to come back in free agency or in an extension even, right? Especially an extension. Padres needed starting pitching, and you got the guy the Yankees didn't want to give up in that deal, in Michael King. They didn't want to give up King. They didn't want to give up Thorpe. Gave up both of them to get Soto. And now the Padres are getting these performances out of Michael King, and they got Dylan Cease in part because they were able to give the White Sox Drew Thorpe, who has debuted in the big leagues. But right now, where the Padres are at, I'd rather have Dylan Cease in a Padres uniform. And by the way, Dylan Cease is pitching like the Dylan Cease the Padres acquired yesterday. He ends up going 7 innings, no earned runs, 1 walk, 10 punch outs. His ERA is lowered to 3.76. Estrada came in yesterday, got his scoreless inning. Matsui was able to finish it. And so, today, obviously, great pitching performance. Yesterday, great pitching performance. A lot of run support for Dylan Cease. I wish they would have, spreaded that out among the first 2 games so Waldron could have gotten some. I know it ended up being 7-0, so even if they did spread it out, who knows if the Padres would have had any different result in terms of win-loss there. But situation would have been different. Different arms may have been throwing when they weren't throwing in that situation in game 1. But yeah, Cease, what I said yesterday in my post-game reaction about, the breaking pitches, he's not leaving those pitches, middle of the plate. He's not leaving the slider or sweep or whatever he has. He's not leaving that pitch where the opponent can go hit it out of the park, right? If he's missing down in the dirt with that breaking ball. He's missing low and away. The fastball's the velocity's there, obviously. And I think the All-Star break helped with King, with Cease, with Waldron, with every pitcher in baseball. So it's not like the Guardians didn't have the break either. They had the break, and the Padres were able to play up to the competition in these last couple of games. And Dylan Cease, Michael King, Matt Waldron, they're going to be so big, obviously, for this Padres team here the rest of the way because of those question marks with Joe Musgrove, with Yu Darvish. There's a Joe Musgrove update, by the way, and I'll get to that here in a little bit. But we don't know if Darvish is coming back. Hopefully he does. Musgrove seems like he's making progress, but he's had an injury history here as of late, and who knows if he comes back and throws a breaking ball and something happens. You never know. And with the depth options, Brito, Vasquez is really the 4 right now. But those guys, Major, Nabil Chrismat is an option, I think, to start Saturday against Baltimore. I think there's one other guy that I'm blanking on his name. But with the lack of, you want better depth, I should say. Because there's arms, but you'd like more and better depth. These 3 guys, these are your 3 horses right now. And it puts less pressure on the offense because it's less runs that they have to score. It puts less pressure on the bullpen because it's less innings for those bridge guys. And you're going to need those bridge guys. And sometimes when the offense can score, you don't have to use Robert Suarez. You don't have to use Jeremiah Estrada. I know they used Jeremiah Estrada yesterday, but hopefully you get my point here. It can help balance out. There's a chain effect here, a snowball effect maybe, right? It just helps everybody else out when the starting pitching can be consistent like this. And so I think we got to give credit to AJ Preller getting the guys in that system necessary to get Dylan Cease, getting Matt Waldron as the player to be named later. I know that we didn't know who that was at the time of that deal. No one was focusing on Matt Waldron, but he stuck with Matt Waldron in this organization. They kept working with him. I think Ruben Niebla gave Matt Waldron that confidence to keep throwing that knuckleball more, like embrace this instead of saying you're a pitcher who throws a knuckleball. Embrace being a knuckleball pitcher with other quality stuff at the big league level. So give credit. We got to give credit all around here. Michael King, obviously getting him in the Soto deal. Because these three guys, I mean, where would the Padres be this year without the performance of Matt Waldron? Where would they be this year without some of the performances of Michael King, some of the performances from Dylan Cease? So it's huge. And this weekend, how great this starting pitching was. They went 20 innings combined. Those three guys, 20 innings, each of them at least went 6 innings, 2 earned runs combined from starting pitching against a Cleveland Guardians team that, again, has the best home winning percentage out of any team in baseball this season and in a long time. So super happy about where the big three right now in this starting rotation is at. And obviously the question marks are about, okay, what reinforcements are going to be coming in? Is it a couple of starters? Is it one starter? And then you add Musgrove in that. And so it feels like a couple of starters for some, maybe, even though it shouldn't feel like a couple of starters because Musgrove is already on the team, obviously, and he's just been on the IL for a long time. But, and this is a big but if you have Waldron, Cease, King being somewhat consistent, because they're not going to do this every time out, but you have that, Musgrove, Darvish, and then let's say Preller makes another starting pitching addition before the deadline. Now you have 6 guys. One guy can go to the bullpen, maybe a couple come postseason time. And then you have Major, Brito, Vasquez, Chris, whoever. You have those guys as literally depth guys instead of rotation arms that you're relying upon every 5th day, right? And thankfully, the schedule has allowed really the key guys to be pitching and not have to use a 5th starter until next Saturday, right? Against Baltimore. So that's big. Very friendly, this schedule for the Padres, thankfully, after a pretty brutal, unofficial first half of the season schedule. Matt Waldron, I did want to get into his performance in game 1. You know, the bullpen, yes, we know. I already gave my post-game reaction to game 1. Fell apart there. Offense didn't do enough. 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position on Friday. Left 6 guys on base. Kim was caught stealing in the 4th. But Waldron, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 punch-outs. Didn't walk anyone. Like the lack of walks is so big because it allows this Padres team to get more out of the starters. More efficiency, you get more length. And again, less of those bridge guys to get to the big guys. I know that didn't matter on Friday because those guys, it was Matsui, Kolek, Davis, Reynolds because of what the situation was. And, Kolek, Davis, those guys didn't have it. But when the right formula, the right ingredients are put together, if you will, it's a great recipe for success with that starting pitcher not walking. I mean, even if we take out the efficiency part of it and just what the walks do, right? It's more taxing on those guys, more pitches without sitting down in the dugout and then coming back out. And it puts those free base runners on. And we've seen it so many times where those free base runners are the one runners. Those are the guys in games that come around to score. And that can lose you baseball games. And then you can miss out on a postseason spot because regardless of when it happens during the year, too many free passes are being given out, right? Offensively, I did want to go to the offense here. Encouraging what I saw this weekend from guys like Jurickson Profar continues to come through in some moments. Jake Cronenworth, David Peralta had a homer yesterday. Jackson Merrill, yeah, he's a little bit on the struggle bus there. Manny, I did see a little bit on social media there about how he's been struggling recently, but I would encourage you to go look at the at bats because he almost did a homer today. I'm not gonna get too hard on Manny right now. I'd like to see a little bit more of a sample size coming out of the All-Star break. Bogarts had a couple of hits today. Higgy, as I talked about earlier. I mean, Higgy and Campy. Let's focus on those two guys for a second here. Higgy, obviously, I've already talked about him this season, but just what a great story this is. And he's still not trying to do too much. He just gets the barrel in the zone quick and gets out in front of it when necessary. And I say he gets out in front of it, but if you remember, he was hitting a lot of balls foul, pull side this year. So he's getting out in front, but he's not getting out in front as much as he was earlier in the year. I think he's talked about that to the media, um, more in the first half of the season when he really got going and he was being asked about what's changing here. Because he was still making contact, but he would then maybe make weak contact, just wouldn't get the result after fouling pitches off. But now it feels like it's less, pitches wasted at the plate there. And what I mean by that is obviously fouling them off and not putting them in between the white lines. Less wasted pitches, and he's doing damage with those pitches. And so that's great to see. And then Campy, with the adjustment that he made, I don't know if it was his decision. I don't know if it was Victor Rodriguez or someone else in the organization, but it seems like he's making his load, the pre-swing, everything there simpler. He has the power, and and this isn't the best for the podcast audience, but Campy, before the break, his hands were like way in front, his torso was turned towards the pitcher, and then so for him to get ready, because in that position, obviously, you're not generating power there from that spot, so you have to coil back and move everything. Probably a little bit harder to keep your head still. He has the leg kick, and so that just makes it tough on you. Be simple, shorten it up, don't have as much hand movement, and just maybe that keeps his head a little bit stiller, keeps him more focused on just putting the ball in play, more contact. And that's what we saw, especially yesterday with the couple of RBI singles that he had. Some pretty hard contact. So right now, the Padres catching situation, and we haven't been able to say this sometimes in past years, the catching situation, I think it's in a good spot right now. Obviously with Higgy and then Campy, it seems like he's making that progress. I get it. It's 3 games, and he didn't even play in all 3 of these games, but it's just one series. But let's keep an eye on him, the rest of this road trip and see if he keeps it up with those adjustments, which I expect him to do, and if the results will come. Because again, he has the power. We've seen him go oppo, homers. We've seen him go pull up. We've seen him go center. He has the power. Um, it's just I want a little bit less of the swing and miss. And when he puts the ball in play, like he can shoot it to the outfield. There's no issue there. So I love keeping it simpler. And I don't think it's only a 2-strike thing. I think it's every pitch. There's some guys, like Bryce Harper, he changes it in some at-bats, but most of the time he does have that leg kick and he's trying to do damage before he gets to 2 strikes. But when he gets to 2 strikes, you see him go to the toe tap. And we know that Bryce, he has the power. Campy, he has the power. I'm not trying to compare Campy to Bryce in terms of, the talent. Bryce is, one of the best players in baseball. But I'm just trying to make the comparison to guys that shorten up, make things simple. You have the power there. You don't have to try to hit a home run every time. And that's great. So those are some of the encouraging signs that I saw in this series. And this was one of those where you beat a team 20 games over 500. You took 2 out of 3 on the road against a team 20 games over 500 and one of the best teams in baseball. Like that should definitely be applauded. Padres deserve props for this. They're now 2 games over 500. I don't think that's something to, boast about. It's not like I'm going to be all over social. There's no parade going to be going down in the gas lamp for being 2 games over 500. But I think Padres fans should be excited about where this team is at, considering the other teams in the National League. And this is another moment where this Padres team is proving they can play up to the level of competition. The Guardians had the All-Star break, so they had some of their top pitchers going here. Padres had their top pitchers going. And game one wasn't very pretty, but they were able to bounce back, had more of a complete team effort in games 2 and 3. And now on to the Washington Nationals and then the Baltimore Orioles, then back home to face the Dodgers. And these games here, let's remember, leading up to the trade deadline, I think this is reinforcing to the Padres front office that this team deserves reinforcements. I don't think this team really deserved reinforcements last year, but this team, to me, it's showing more of that fight. It feels more like a team, a true team. It seems like there's a togetherness, a connection between the manager and the GM, which wasn't there last year, obviously, and probably the year before that, according to reporting that we've seen. And so stack these wins against these good teams. I already thought that they were going to buy before the deadline, but I think this is just reinforcing to the front office that, yeah, go get these reinforcements. You know, bring more confidence into that clubhouse before that Dodgers series starts up. Because that deadline, July 30th at 3 p.m., I think, Pacific time? It's going to be a big day. All right. Quick break, and then I'm going to get to the chat here in a little bit. I have some other stuff that I wanted to go over as well. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right, a reminder of some of the other great partners of the show as well. Breaking Tea, they've got Padres, Aztecs, and Wave shirts and sweatshirts. San Diego Wave, by the way, they got that win against Bay FC in the Summer Cup last night at Torero Stadium, that one-off at Torero. Back in action at Snapdragon coming up on Friday against Club America. Obviously, it's the Olympic break. Team USA, U.S. Women's National Team, their first game, I believe, is this upcoming week. And that's the group. I mean, they got some good teams there. And then, yeah, San Diego State, I believe FanFest is coming up at Snapdragon. Shirts and sweatshirts there. Click that link in the description. They've got Profar shirts, Merrill shirts, some pretty new ones that were released. So make sure to go check them out. Underdog Fantasy, $250 deposit match. Up to that 50%, up to 50% deposit match, up to $250. Use code Talking Friars. There's pick'ems, not just the Padres, but all of Major League Baseball. Xander Schauffele just won the Open, so congratulations to the Aztec. There was pick'ems on that. WNBA when they were in action. Obviously, the All-Star game was yesterday. That was fun to watch. There's a lot of stuff that you can have fun with there on Underdog Fantasy. And then SeatGeek code Talking Friars, $20 off your first order when you use that code. And first time using SeatGeek under your email. Use that to your advantage. Some of the updates. So let's start off with a Joe Musgrove update. So Kevin Acee in his Padres Daily wrote this morning, Joe Musgrove, who has been sidelined since late May by elbow discomfort, threw his second full bullpen session on Saturday. Among the 30 pitches he threw were some breaking balls. He had thrown exclusively fastballs in his first bullpen. Musgrove said the session went really good. He's expected to throw off the mound 2 more times on this trip before possibly facing hitters. So clearly there with that last sentence there, he's still a ways away. He's not just going to start facing hitters and then boom, he's back in the rotation. He's probably going to have a couple of rehab outings. He's probably going to have a couple of times facing hitters, live BP sessions with Ruben there, and the full major league team keeping an eye on him there. And he's so mixing in some breaking balls, obviously to build up. I don't think they're going to want to throw Joe Musgrove out there when he's built up to 60, 70 pitches, especially when it's this elbow issue and he's dealt with the shoulder issue. Like, you want him out there fully good, no restrictions. He's not scared to throw the breaking ball. You want him out there when he's good. If he's not good, then you don't put him out there on the mound in big league action. And I want to see Joe Musgrove pitch, but he's also still on a long-term contract, and it's July 21st. If it takes a few more weeks, it takes a few more weeks. But it does seem like that things are heading in the right direction. Throwing bullpens. He's not just throwing fastballs. He's mixing in some breaking balls. Session went really good. So that's great. Because let's remember, and Joe Musgrove, he may be different than last year, but last year, after he scuffled a little bit, right, he was dealing with some of those injuries. He went like 11 starts as pitching at ace level, since that Yankee outing in May of last year. Great. Before he ended up getting hurt. And this year, he was struggling. But before he got hurt, there were some encouraging signs there of like, yeah, Joe Musgrove still got it. I never doubted that he still had it. Like, I have confidence in Joe. He worked his butt off. We know he wants to win more than almost anyone. I mean, he wants to win more than anyone, or at least he's tied up there with everyone else, anyone else on that Padres team wanting to win for this city, for this organization, for his family, all of that. So I have no doubt he's working his butt off. And yeah, Padres make the postseason. I want that guy on the mound. I still have that same thought. I know 2022 may feel like a little bit ago now with everything that has happened since then, but this guy is still the ultimate competitor. I want that guy on the mound. Max, I kind of compare it to Max Scherzer, and that might feel like a stretch because Scherzer's a Hall of Famer and Joe Musgrove's not there. But in terms of the competitor, regardless of what is happening, you want Max Scherzer on the mound. Like those Nationals fans in 2019 or whatever team he was on, you want Max Scherzer on the mound in a big game because he's going to pitch his butt off. He's going to go out there and compete, regardless of if he's dealing with a neck issue, he doesn't feel great, his age, whatever. He's going out there and he's going to compete. And that's who I see in Joe Musgrove. So hopefully he can get back, but I am not being like, let's get Joe back as soon as possible. No, I'm with the thought of let's get Joe back when he is healthy. I'm hoping that a starting pitcher will be added before the deadline. Waldron, Cease, King, 20 innings, 2 earned runs allowed combined in this Guardian series. Like the majority of the rotation, I am confident in. And then we'll see what happens in those other two with the friendly schedule. Don't have to throw the 5-starter all the time. So it helps. It helps, create some of that time where Joe isn't missing as many starts if it was literally like every 5th day, if that makes sense. Although, if he was, in the rotation, he would be pitching. It's not like they would skip his outing. But my point is, let's get him back fully healthy. The schedule, the rest days, it's in the Padres' favor right now, where it wasn't really that in the first half of the season. But that is the latest on Joe Musgrove. As for Yu Darvish, it's still a personal family situation. That's all we know on it. And no, he doesn't owe us an update or an explanation on exactly why he's away. All we don't know if he's coming back this year. He's staying in shape and wish Yu Darvish well, but that's totally his situation. I know I wouldn't want people, if I was a professional athlete, I get it. I'm making a lot of money, but by the way, Darvish is not making this. He's not getting paid right now. So anyone that's like, oh, well, he's getting paid a bunch of money, he owes us. No, he doesn't. He's not getting paid, and it's a family personal situation. If you were in your workplace and you had a family situation going on, a serious family situation going on, and you had coworkers demanding your boss to tell them why you're away and you're not even getting paid while you're away, would you like that? I don't think you'd like that. So yeah, that's what I've got on that. Another thing that I wanted to hit on before I get to the chat was a couple things. There is this stat from Kevin in his Padres Daily. Dylan Cease, coming off of yesterday's outing, first Padre to allow 1 hit, no runs, and double-digit strikeouts in consecutive starts. The list of major league pitchers to have done this since 1961 are Cease, which his last two starts, 13 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 21 punch-outs. The other two, a guy that I just brought up, Max Scherzer, 2015 with the Nats. I think that was with the Nats. 18 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 26 strikeouts. And then Randy Johnson in 2001 with the D-backs, 14 and a third, 2 hits, no runs, and 30 punch-outs. So that's pretty darn good. That's a pretty good group to be a part of there for sure. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, I was kind of hitting on the trade deadline a little bit there. And Jeff Passan, he was on with L. Duncan on SportsCenter, I believe, this past week. And he gave some thoughts on Garrett Crochet, which teams might want to get in on Garrett Crochet. And he said the San Diego Padres would love to get Garrett Crochet. Here is that video.
Can you share with us about what teams are calling Chicago about potentially acquiring Crochet?
The San Diego Padres, would love to get Garrett Crochet. The Los Angeles Dodgers, with all the injuries in their rotation, would love to get Garrett Crochet. And the Baltimore Orioles, frankly, need a pitcher like Garrett Crochet. The question, though, is going to be about those aforementioned innings. He has thrown more this year than he did in the previous 4 years of his major league career, and that's just in the first half. And the fear, because Crochet has had injuries before, is that there's going to be a limited number of innings for him to pitch this year. The White Sox, though, want to reap the benefits of a guy who's a starting pitcher. So if teams are lowballing, they are not going to get Crochet, and the White Sox are more than willing to hold on to him into the winter.
All right. So that's that from Jeff Passan. And when Jeff Passan speaks, he, for me, is the most reliable reporter in the business. So when he speaks, I listen. He's not saying the Padres are going to acquire Crochet. He's not saying anyone's going to acquire Garrett Crochet. I feel like Crochet is going to get dealt. But yeah, the big thing is what teams are willing to give up, because I think there are teams out there that feel like Crochet, maybe they don't have the best idea of how long can he be a starter for this team the rest of the year. Can he do it in the postseason? Or is he going to be more of like a reliever in the postseason? But this is sort of like a Michael King thing, though. The Padres could give the White Sox the starter return that they want. That would be a lot. But they could do that, and they look at Garrett Crochet, and he's feeling good, and he's a starter the rest of the way. Michael King, he's feeling good right now. He's a starter. I'm not thinking about an innings limit when a guy is pitching well. Things are looking good. He's feeling well. He wants to keep going. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, nope, innings limit's coming up. All right, you're done. How's the body feeling, right? So I guess that's a big question mark too. Maybe that's going to cause some teams to be hesitant to acquire Crochet because he may look good right now, but how is he going to feel in a couple of weeks? How is it going to feel, or how are the team doctors, the trainers going to feel about it when they get their hands on Garrett Crochet? And maybe they advise that team that acquires Crochet to do something the front office didn't think that they were going to do when they acquired Crochet. And I don't think the Padres are going to land Garrett Crochet, but I'm probably going to look like a fool for doubting AJ Preller with his ability to acquire Crochet. I mean, he has the ability to do it. I just question his want to give up Leo DeVries. Ethan Salas is untouchable. At least Dennis Lynn is saying he's like the most untouchable guy that Preller has had, right? He's as untouchable as like anyone. And I am totally with that. I don't want Ethan Salas to be dealt. I don't even want Leo DeVries to be dealt, to be honest. Like, Dylan Cease, there's the proven track record. And so I'm like, yeah, you go get Dylan Cease. Luis Ariz with the bat to ball, Juan Soto at that time. You go get Juan Soto. But with Garrett Crochet, I just have a different feeling. Is he pitching well? Yeah. Could he help the Padres? Yeah. But the Padres have to weigh, is it worth giving up Leo DeVry? Is it who could turn into another Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis Jr., one of your faces of your franchise, not making a lot of money in that rookie deal? He could turn into that. Is it worth giving that up for a guy who, yes, has multiple years of control, but it's his first All-Star appearance this year. He hasn't thrown a lot of innings. It's a big question mark. Would the Padres rather go after guys like Eric Fetty or Tyler Anderson with the Angels or Cal Quantrill with the Rockies or maybe one of the Rangers guys if they decide to deal those guys? Someone like that, I don't think Schoolball's going to get dealt unless the Dodgers or someone blows away the Tigers. Are the Padres willing to go that distance that other teams want them to go to get those guys when it feels like that would be a reach? There's some years, and I just mentioned, Soto, guys like that. There's some years where it's like, yeah, there's talent out there that it is worth giving up those guys for. The Juan Soto deal, I still would have done it. And yeah, James Wood, Padres are going to be facing him coming up this week. CJ Abrams, same thing. Like, I get it. If you want to get something, you have to give up something, though. And they gave up a lot. But in that situation, you go for it. And the money situation, this was before they signed Xander, and there were a bunch of long-term contracts, actually. Since then, you go for it. It makes sense. This year, there's always a guy, right, that insiders and I don't want to just put it on insiders or experts, but fans, we say, okay, that's the big name to go get. But if you compare it to past years, how much of a big name is that guy really? Is that guy, he's just the big name of a weaker trade deadline class? Or is he a big name if you put him in the same trade deadline class as all these other guys in past years, right? And I don't want to take anything away from Garrett Crochet's season, this season. Yeah, it's been great. But there are question marks. And the Padres, if they're going to go long, if they're going to go anywhere, don't you think it's going to be because of Dylan Cease, the big arm that they've already acquired? Don't you think it's going to be because of Michael King, a big arm that they acquired for Juan Soto? Don't you think it's going to be because of Joe Musgrove, the guy that they gave $100 million to? There's money that's already been invested into this rotation. These big name guys, they're going to have to step up anyway. So would it be better for the Padres to go get back end guys, depth, could move into the bullpen in postseason situations, just valuable innings guys for the rest of this year? Because what matters the most is getting there. Once the Padres get there, this rotation gets shrunk to 3 guys in a wild card series, 4 guys in a best of 7, and then other guys either don't make the roster or go to the bullpen, right? I'm not saying they couldn't use Garrett Crochet. For me, it just feels like it's a stretch saying that like Garrett Crochet is the guy the Padres need to go get with what the farm system looks like and guys that could come back and just what this rotation looks like right now. I don't want to just be talking about Garrett Crochet without going over his numbers. Like, yeah, he's been good this year. He hasn't actually just been good. He's been great this year. His WAR's already at 4. His WHIP's under 1. His 150 strikeouts in 107 innings. But how many innings is Michael King at? Around 120, I think, right now. So he has a little bit more innings already than Crochet does. Crochet's last 2 outings, by the way, combined 6 innings pitched. There's a lot of 6-inning outings. There's some 7-inning outings. I'm actually looking at the game logs. I'm actually surprised that I'm not seeing more 6-inning outings. There's definitely 6-inning outings, but 2 innings, 4 innings, 5 2/3, 5 innings, 4 innings, 5 innings, 3 innings, 4 2/3, 5. There's a lot of those where he's actually not going that long. And I'm sorry, it just doesn't feel like a guy the Padres should be going all out for Doesn't matter who you're giving up. This isn't the Juan Soto of pitching. I'd like to see more of a track record before I, give up, a Leo DeVree in this situation. And that's what's going to have to be given up, it seems like, to get someone like Garrett Crochet. There's other guys that are going to be out there that can help this Padres team get to the postseason, can give the Padres some quality outings, can get you 6 innings, 3 earned runs, whatever. There's going to be some guys out there that can do that will not cost you as much as Garrett Crochet, acquiring Garrett Crochet. So that's where I'm at on that. Do I want to win? Of course. Yeah, I want this Padres team to buy, and I think they will before the deadline, but I'm also, and maybe this is what can be dumb sometimes, is like fans, now we play GM too much and we should just want every player that's great right now. But I don't know, that's just the way that I think. As a Padre fan that follows this team and follows AJ Preller, every day of my life, my opinion doesn't matter, but like, I'm just trying to look out for the present and the future. I want the best of both worlds, not the best of one world. And we've seen plenty of times where the best of that one world, oh, it's great when you acquire them, and then look what happens after that. All right, let's get to the chat. I don't think I have anything else I wanted to get to. Sub and Substance says King is really solid as a number 2. I mean, to be honest, I'd prefer him to be like a number 3, a number 4. Have Darvish, Musgrove, and Cease, not in any particular order, but those 3, and then King, like it was supposed to be at the beginning of the year. But no, King is pitching really well. Yeah, he's a good mid-rotation guy for sure. Dave says on pace for about 83 wins, one nice winning streak of 5-6 games. We'll get that number to 87 or 88. The scene is set to get that. It is, but got to take advantage of that stretch coming up after they face the Nats, Orioles, and Dodgers. Feels like such a big stretch that they didn't take advantage of, by the way, earlier in the year. Remember when they faced the Angels? What was that stretch? I think the Rockies were in there. It was bad teams, and they ended up, I think, going 9-10 in that 19-game stretch. And that also reminds me, Matt Waldron, I tweeted out the other night after he pitched, I think 11 starts of 6+ innings, and the Padres are 5-6 in those outings this year. So just clearly not capitalizing on those good outings from Matt Waldron, not giving him enough run support, not being consistent enough when he has been the Padres' most consistent starting pitcher this season. The Beef says thoughts on us possibly trading Kim at the deadline. I think I talked about this the other day. I don't think it's going to happen. I would rather keep Kim because I don't think that you're selling super high on Kim. How much would you get back in a trade for Ha-Seong Kim? And what does that do to your team? He is a big guy in that big personality in that clubhouse. I'm not trying to make this into an Eric Hosmer thing because Kim provides value to this Padres team on the field with his defense. I mean, great play that he made, ranging from the shortstop side of second base to the other side of second base, spitting, making that throw over first today. That was great. He provides value to this team other than vibes, right? For me, it's what happens if you trade Kim. I think of like the worst case, like injuries happening. Bogarts, Manny, Cronenworth, Arise. We've seen guys banged up already this year. What would happen then? Because not everyone can go play shortstop. Donovan Solano, it's not like you just go put him and have him go play shortstop. If you trade Kim and then Bogarts gets hurt, you're going to have Manny go play short every day? Or you're going to have Jake go play short every day? And then what does that do to the rest? I just rather stay with the depth that you have at the big league level I don't know, like, who would the Padres trade that's on their big league team right now? Like, realistically. To me, it's more of they're going to, maybe it's someone in the bullpen that they would, someone that another team is interested in, like Sean Reynolds or some upside play there. But then you're also like, you're adding, but then you're subtracting at the same time there. And I don't think the Padres want to do that. If someone wants Endo de los Santos for some reason, okay, but no one would want that, right? And I don't see anyone doing that. I just don't see someone taking from the Padres' big league roster unless it's some small move. I would just keep Kim at this point. If you were going to trade him, it was going to be when his value was higher before the season started. Big P says, great series, huge for us. Can't wait to get our full squad. Same here. Yeah, I agree, John. So glad they didn't blow it. King was awesome. I was worried a little bit that those, because it's happened before, those runners in scoring position opportunities where you don't come through and it ends up biting you at the end. You lose by a run, and you're like, yep. Or you go into extra innings and it tacks the bullpen. Good news, there's a day off tomorrow. Again, talking about the friendly schedule. Day off tomorrow before the Nat series. So bullpen's it should be in a good spot. The Beef says Musgrove ain't coming back. What is up with you? How do you know? I mean, Musgrove, he's progressing. We have more of an update on Musgrove than we have with Darvish. I'm more confident right now that Musgrove's coming back than Darvish is. We just don't know about Darvish, and I'm totally fine with that. It's his personal situation. Who is going to be our number 5 now that Major is gone? Gone from what? The organization? He's still in AAA, right? I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was Johnny Brito, but I did see he was dealing with forearm issues, I think. He missed his last outing, so maybe it's Chris Matt as an opener, depending on where the bullpen situation is at. They could go there. They could go back to Major if they wanted to for that one start. I don't know. Big P says Morhone used to start. What's your thoughts on having him start a little? I don't think that's gonna happen. That's my thought on that. He has already put himself, and deservedly so, into high leverage reliever roles. Like having that opportunity there. He's like what, number 3 on that? Suarez, Estrada, and him, and probably Matsui. Those guys. So no, I don't think Morahone is an option to go like 3-4 innings to start a game for the Padres. Update on Tatis. Big P asks, what's the latest there? He's swinging a bat, I think dry swings and throwing, but there's no one said anything about him like doing any jogging or running or anything like that. So that's what I've got there. It seems like he doesn't feel pain, like when he's getting out of bed or walking anymore. So that's progress, but yeah, he's still a ways away. Alfredo says, I want to see Turso or Nellis called up. Well, that's probably not going to happen when David Peralta's hitting like this. He's been hitting pretty well lately. But yeah, if there's an injury or David Peralta ends up just not doing enough anymore, then yeah, I mean, doesn't he have a 900 plus OPS in AAA? He's probably the first option to be called up. Unless like Bryce Johnson goes down or someone like that goes down, and the better fit is Zokar. A. Visser says the better Bogey plays, the more likely it is that Kim gets traded. I disagree. I just don't think they're moving Kim. Even if Bogey plays well, there's still the chance that he gets hurt, and then that can really hurt the depth that they have in that infield right now. I think you just keep it. You keep him. You don't upset anyone in the clubhouse. Go get reinforcements. That's what I would do. Let's see. Divinity asks, is Bauer not an option? Could easily get him for a lot cheaper since no one else is going after him. Yeah, I don't think that's an option because the Padres would have probably already gotten him with the status of their rotation. And there's a reason why nobody else has went and got him for like league minimum either, you know? So that's not happening. I don't really understand why Bauer keeps getting brought up. It's not going to happen. Kieran says getting Crochet doesn't make sense. Rick says there could be a cluster of teams with 87 wins. I don't know. I feel like maybe more like the 84 win range. Maybe we see that. But I feel like 87 could be the second wild card. Marcus says, do you have a favorite Padres hat, Ben? You mean like ever? Ones they're wearing now? I'm a simple guy, so I like just the brown and gold, just Padres hat that they have right now. Just simple SD, brown and gold. I do like the swinging friar hat one that I wear sometimes. Yeah. I did like these All-Star hats from 2016, the one I'm wearing now for the podcast audience. I did like those. So those are just some that I would say. And for the city, I like the City Connect hat more than I do the jerseys. Diego says, honestly, I'm torn. Pods need a starting pitcher, but I'd rather get some help for the bullpen. I don't know. I trust AJ. Yeah, that's... If it's one or the other, I feel like they'd go with a starter over a reliever because you want to get to the postseason. And if you had a starter, if you get to the postseason, someone there in the rotation, a couple guys, can go be bullpen guys to help the bullpen out. I'm not saying the bullpen is going to be great the rest of the way, but I'm seeing there's still encouraging signs. Like if the rotation can be consistent, then that takes less, or takes more, I should say, off of the plate of the bullpen. And that's less of those bridge guys, those lower leverage reliever guys that you have to use. So I would personally use starting pitching. I think you can never have enough starting pitching, and they can transfer. It's easier, I think, for guys to go from starters to relievers than from relievers to starters, especially in the middle of a season. So I would personally pick starting pitching. All right. Coming up for the Padres, off day on Monday. And then they've got 3 games against the Orioles, the Nationals, and then the Orioles. So Tuesday, Randy Vasquez scheduled, at least according to MLB.com, 3:45 on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, 3:45, Matt Waldron scheduled. And Thursday, 9:05 a.m. our time, Cease scheduled against Patrick Corbin. So that's what we got. And then Friday against the Orioles, Saturday, Orioles, Sunday, Orioles. And then they come back home, off day Monday, the 29th, which is great. No focus needs to be on the game, just the trade deadline, because the deadline's the next day before the Padres start that homestand against the Dodgers at 6:40. So that's what we got coming up. Thanks, everyone, for the time. I appreciate it. Should be an interesting rest of this road trip. Hopefully the Padres can keep these starting pitching performances going. The offense can get going here, and they can have a nice, successful, over 500 winning road trip.